Hey, I hope everyone's doing well, and welcome to this week's Code Challenge. I have a very special challenge today. This is essentially where it all started. What do I mean by that? Well, when I was first finishing up school, a few months before I graduated, I started applying for various different positions, whether it's data scientist, data analyst, data engineering, and I was getting quite a few interview opportunities. And one of the first interviews that I did, it was obviously first, it was like a phone interview. The second interview was a hiring manager, and the third interview was a technical interview, where literally there was just one challenge. You had 30 minutes to do it, and you were being watched the whole time. So it was like a Zoom interview where you're given the challenge and there's another person watching you this whole time as you solve the problem. Obviously, being my first time, literally we just stared at the screen for 30 minutes and I just couldn't solve it. So that's the challenge that we're going to go over today. I've come a long way since then, and I was excited to reminisce and come back to something that I struggled with and now was relatively straightforward. So let's go and look at the code challenge. Again, it's really simple. All they said was sort a list according to the length of the elements. So here's the function. We're going to call it ordered list. Within that function, you have a list of words, and those words are different lengths. So what they want is they want that list to be ordered based on the length of the words in that list. So here's this example. We have stop, see, go, and elephant. Well, what's the shortest length word in that list? Go. So go comes first. You have see with 3, stop with 4, and then elephant. Here's an example. You have just random AA. There's 4 A's there. There's 1 A there. There's 5 A's there, and you get this order where A followed by AA followed by 4 A's followed by 5 A's. So that was essentially the challenge. So I hope you guys are ready to get started. Let's begin. So we're going to do something a little different for this challenge. Instead of starting in the define function, I'm going to go ahead and do the actual work first and then wrap it all up in the end into a function. That way we can actually print a few things as we go. Okay, so I'm going to create a sample list that we're going to work with. I'm just going to call it list, and I'm just going to throw in some random stuff. Okay, so we have a list with about 9 elements, meaning 9 different phrases or letters or words, and they each have their own unique length. So we'll just use that as we work through this challenge. Okay, so first we'll need a few empty variables. So we'll start with, so I'll need an I, we'll just set that to 0. I'll need an N, we'll set that to 0. We'll set an empty variable list and another one. Okay. So what we're going to start with the while loop. So while I is less than the length of list. So what's going to happen here is we're getting the length of this list. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 9. So the length of that list is 9. So while I is less than 9, I want you to run whatever I put down here. However, you have to be careful, because if I stays where it's at right now, so right now I is 0, it's going to run infinitely. So you have to, with each iteration, you want to increase I by 1. So how do we do that? Well, you just set I equals 1. So here's how that looks. So if we print I, the first time I is 0, and then you got 1 added to I. The second time I is 1, then it comes back and you add another 1 to I, and it becomes 2, 3, so on and so forth. So you end up with 8. Okay. All right, so the first thing is we want to get the length of all the words within this list. And to do that, we're going to do lists. We're going to do length list I. So I is the index, so it's going to go index 1, index 0 is going to grab that. What's the length of that? 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's going to go to the next one, index 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to give us 5. So if we print that, and then let's just see which one. So let's actually print the word next to the count. So we can do list I. So there you go. You got 1, which is 3, another, which is 5, AO2, so on and so forth. So now that we see that, we're actually going to append that to one of our empty lists, which is number length dot append len list I. So we're good there. So we got that done. Okay. So now we have the length of each word in that list. So now we're going to do a for loop. So for x in range length of the list, we want to grab the number. So here's what we're going to do. So let's just print and see what it looks like. So we're going to grab the number length, which now has a number count. So now it has, in place of the actual words in this list, it's that list represented by a number. So here's what we're going to do. So x. Okay. So all we're doing now here is we are trying to get the index. We want to have the value from the number length, and then right next to it, we want to get the index. So for 3, which was this first one, index 0, it's 1, which is a length 3. That's at index 0. Index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we have the count of each word, or sorry, we have the length of each word followed by the index of that length number. And we're actually going to put that into our other empty variable. So we're going to do order length dot append. We're going to do number length x. And we can run that. So let's see, what does that actually look like? So we can actually go ahead and print order length down here. Okay, so you have a list within a list, essentially. So this is index 0, which is that one. So you got the length of that word and its index, the length of the second word and its index, third word and its index, fourth word and its index, so on and so forth. What we want to do now is we actually want to sort this. And to do that is all you can do is you're going to do order length dot sort. All right, so what does that do? So let's print. So this is the older. This is the older list before we did the sort. But now that we ran that cell, let's print order length again and see the difference. All right, so what do you notice? Looks like it's been rearranged here a little bit. So what sort does is it'll order the list from least to greatest. So if you look here, again, remember that this first number here, you have the length of the word, which is 1, and you have its index. So when we do sort, it's going to go by that first number in the list. So you got 3, you got 5, 2, 8, 10, 13, 1, 4, and 4. When you run this sort function here, it's going to order based on that first number within that list of the list. So that's why you have 1, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, and followed by obviously their index. Okay, so we're getting really close. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create another empty variable. We're going to call it sort index. I'm going to do for n in order length. We're going to grab, all we want is the index. Okay, so now we essentially ordered the list based on the length of the word in that list. So all we want now is we want the index. And it's going to be awesome why we do that. So we're going to add sort index dot append n1. So if you go within the list here, the reason why I'm doing sort index dot append n1 is that what's happening here is it's going to go for each ordered length. Okay, so here's order length. For each one, it's going to start with this one. You go inside and you grab index 1, so that's index 0, index 1. You go to the next one, it's going to grab index 1, that's index 0, that's index 1, so on and so forth. All right, so now that we have that, let's run it real quick. So you have list I for I in sorted in sort index. So there you have it. So what's going on here? So when we ran this, okay, and then we ran this, the first index here is index 6. So you're going to go here, you're going to grab index 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is A. It's going to put that first. The next one is index 2. It's going to go in the list, 0, 1, 2. It's going to grab that. And that, my friends, is how you solve this challenge. So all that's left really is to wrap all this up into a function. So what I'm going to do is define ordered list run that, and let's try. So ordered list, bam. All right, let's try another one here. Let's grab this list here. So you got that. Bam, go see stop elephant. Well, I hope you enjoyed this challenge. This is very special to me. Again, this is the first technical interview that I had when I was breaking into the data world, data field essentially. Please leave any comments, any questions, any remarks in the comment section down below. And again, I really hope you enjoyed this code challenge. That's it for this week. Come back next week as we tackle another code challenge. Take care and goodbye for now.